Alright, today we're going to be talking about missing view problems, and watch the examples on Compass, and the lecture of course, but also there's a lot of really helpful material in the textbook. But missing view problems are really tricky because there's not always just one solution to how to do these. It's basically taking a multi-view problem and going backwards, actually constructing the 3D just from 3 different faces. And this is, in my opinion, one of the hardest things that people have to do. There are, a lot of times, multiple correct answers to a single question, so don't feel bad if your answer might look different from someone else's. It could be correct, still, or it could be really incorrect. And oftentimes there's an easy way to see it and a hard way to see it. We'll just go over the strategies to approach a problem like this. So let's look at an example, one that is not one of the sketching assignments. I have 3 examples, missing view examples, in this handout. If you want to try these on your own, I really encourage you to try it. Let's take a look at question 3, because this is something that's really confusing, and just for speed, I'm going to use my tablet here. Alright, so what do I have? I need to sketch the missing view and the isometric view for the given 2 views. For question 3, the one I'm going to work on right now, I'm given 2 views, and it looks to me like I have the top view, or what we call horizontal plane view, and then we also have the side view, or what we call the profile view. So I'm going to mark those H and P. So I know that between these two, if I were doing an align multi-view, if I, project this one down, project this one over, I'm going to have a front view that's going to fit inside this bounding box, right? Exactly what we're familiar with. But what exactly does that look like? This is like a very confusing shape. The profile view is slanted, yet in the top view, all I see is this thing up here. I don't see any hidden lines. I don't see really anything. So how do I even approach a problem like this? Well, just like anything, let's start with a bounding box. So, of course, on the sketching assignment, we give you one of those nice little isometric cube things, but let's just draw kind of our own isometric. And let's get a bounding box. So, of course, we can tram all those dimensions. Just for speed, I'm going to eyeball it. So I'm going to say that this dimension corresponds to this one over here. And then I'm going to say the front dimension, front face dimension, corresponds to this one over here. The upwards dimension, this one, height. Oh, that looks a little long. It does not want to go where I want it to, but that's okay. I'll just do this roughly. Make sure everything in your bounding box is all parallel. That's not good. It's close enough for our purposes. This is really bad. Okay, sorry about that. My goodness. Okay, I'll just make this one come straight down. And of course, if it is parallel, it will line up better than this. Sorry about that. Okay, so here's my bounding box. It's a little bit rough, but we can actually start to take some features. So one strategy that I like to use is in a missing view problem, every time I see a completely enclosed box, as in enclosed by all visible lines, that means it's a complete plane. Or every time it's enclosed and something separated, that means it's a change in plane. So over here, I have 2 changes in plane, here and here, right? That corresponds to, on the horizontal plane, or from the top view, here and here, right? So I have a change of plane here to here, change of plane here to here. So in fact, I have something that's pressed right up against the wall, and I can just draw that right away. So I know that this one is pressed right up against the wall, and it's shaped something like this. And I can take those dimensions exactly. So I have this thing over here halfway across the feature. So I'll take construction lines, drop diagonals, and I can use this height exactly. So I'll trammel that height up. I won't actually trammel it just because I'm going quickly. So I'll take this height, and now I can have a completed face of my object. I just go bold over these parts so you can see it. So any lines that I'm drawing in black are just construction lines. Okay, so that's something that's right up against the wall of my bounding box. Anything that's right up against the wall is easy to draw, right? Pretty simple. Okay, what else can we do? Well, I've got that this back dimension over here, so this wall comes right up to the back, right? So I can actually draw that back edge. I can go bold right away and draw the back edge of my object. That's a little thick. See that? So even though I don't see any changes in plane here, that just means that the entire slanted face parallel to this is all just shaped like that. So it's gonna be pretty easy to draw it. Now, I know that this shape is along this plane now, right? There are a couple ways I can do this, but the way I'm going to do it right now is first I'm going to take a construction line and bring it across parallel. So I can define kind of this plane that I'm looking at, this angled plane. And I'll do my best to make it parallel. This dimension over here is right up against the opposite wall that we were just looking at, right? So if I were to draw this down, the same distance, so I would trammel this distance, I can now use this dimension and transfer it directly visibly onto my object. Do you guys see how that works? Okay, I can bring it in the same distance, parallel, you know, it's always along the same plane, and actually complete a part of this feature. Now, this feature is just coming straight forward. So again, parallel to the front plane, I could bring it down directly over here until it seems to intersect with my front face of the object. And this is, of course, just one quicker way to do it. Come up with a way that works best for you. So I can actually just complete this, bring it down parallel. You'll start to see this take shape over time. Figure out what way you like to use to visualize. Are you seeing it start to take shape now? Well, maybe, maybe not. We can actually bring this dimension over now. So on that front face, I'll bring over that dimension parallel. And then, of course, downward, because I know from the side, it's got to look like this. And now, I can complete that top view. So does this correspond to this? Yes, it does. Am I done? Not quite. I've got to close it off over here. And am I done? Still not quite. So there's one more line that comes down over here. So if I were to say a completed isometric of my object, let's see if I have everything. I have change of plane here, corresponds to these two. I have the hidden line in the back. This hidden line corresponds to this edge over here in the back. Then I have this view from the top. All I can see is just this plane right here. There's nothing else, right? And then now I can construct what my front view would look like. So within my box, what's visible? Let's see. So I'll have a few different features. Let's partition our box. Actually, we can just transfer features over directly, right? I can transfer this one over. Transfer these two down. transfer this one over. And then just start to connect things using visible lines, and you'll see this really come together. So, I have these two. That corresponds to this face over here. This one, that corresponds to this angled edge over here. I can draw out the back. Draw this part. So that angled face, looking at it from the front, is just gonna look flat. Oh, not a circle. Flat. Complete it. And over here. All right, just for clarity, let me erase my construction line so that you guys can see it a little bit better. My front view looks something like this. So see how these questions can kind of come together in a really complicated way, but it's not so bad once you've already done the isometric. So one strategy is to just draw a really rough sketch of what you think it might look like, and then try to make it neat. But let's actually try to do one of the examples on the sketching assignment. All right, first things first, get your name and section on here, and block letters. Okay, this question. I have a lot of different things going on here. I see hidden lines, I see a hole that goes through the object. I can tell it goes through the object because of these hidden lines on the front view. This is top view, or horizontal plane. This is front view. And I'm going to have to draw the profile view over here. All right, so what's going on here? I see one, two, three enclosed faces, 3 changes in plane. However, looking at this one, I see 1, 2 changes of plane. So looking at this, I know that here, this kind of looks like a chair, or a chair with a hole in it, like a very strange toilet or something. These hidden lines correspond to these kind of leg features, and we're gonna actually see how it comes together. Looking at it like this, there's a very simple way to visualize it, and let's start by drawing our isometric bounding box. So first off, if I want to get this dimension of my bounding box over here, figure out how far this goes, that is going to be the same as the height of my top view. So let's trammel that distance. Trammel that distance over here. Close enough. The height of my object is going to be this height, right? Height of the front view. So I'll trammel that distance upward. I can project the other two out parallel, so I can check my parallelism with this. Check it. And then bring this up. Okay, similarly, if I want to get this dimension going this way, I need to use this width, right? So I trammel this dimension over here. Bring it over to here. Height, gonna be the same. Try this. And then bring it over. I'll complete the top view and bring this over. Okay. I have a bounding box, And now let's start to get our features in here. So just like in the example, I'm going to start with what is pressed right up against one of the faces. Looking at this, what is going to be right up against my face? I think it's going to be this front of my chair, and you'll see in a moment why that is. So let's get these features just directly. I'll trammel these distances, those two are the same. I can get this height. And now I can literally just draw that shape. So I'll first start kind of light. And then I can bring it up this shorter leg distance. Looks good. Okay. What else do I need to do? Well, I don't really know what's going on the profile view yet. I can define my bounding box, of course. So the height, of course, is the same. What is the width of it? Well, the width of the profile view is going to be the same as the height of the horizontal view. So I can just use that same dimension that I got before to bring it over. So here's a bounding box for my profile view. All right, so what exactly is going on here? It looks like this kind of front feature carries on. It keeps going and going and going up until this point, right? So I'll take this dimension going backwards, and I'll bring it back along this line. So a construction line across here. And bring this over here. Because of these hidden lines, I know that this thing goes all the way to the back. So in fact, I can define another visible line right away. So I can just draw this one as a visible line. And so also this one. The back is coming all the way up to the top, so I can see that. And then this back part of my chair, it's right over here. How about that? I know that in front of the back part, it's just a straight line, so I can bring this one all the way to the back wall and finish some more. So bring this over parallel to the other ones. Do you see it yet? These are construction lines, not permanent yet. Okay, how do I draw this part now? Well, I know that this distance is how far these kind of ears go back down. So this distance here, right? So I'll take my trammel. I can take this distance. Bring a construction line across here. How far do they go over? Well, I can see that here, right? On the top view, if I trammel this distance, that's how far they go over. So That's this distance over here. Same on the other side. And then connect these two. These have to come out parallel. And these lines have to come down. So that's what the basic outline of this shape looks like. What else do I need? Am I done yet? Not quite. I need to put this hole into the object. Where is this hole located? It's right at the center of that face, so I can draw diagonals on this plane. And locate this hole using the box method. So I have my center. I know what the diameter of this thing is. So on the face, I can draw the box. This one's not that good. Should be here and here. Okay. Complete the box. And you can draw your hole here. Am I done? Not quite. I've got to check if I can see the back of this hole, right? See if I can see the bottom. So if I were to draw the same circle, but project it downwards onto the bottom of this, is there any part of it that I would be able to see? Let me check. Yes, there is. This part over here. So I'll just draw that really quick. Looks something like this. So you can go through and you can erase all of your construction lines, but I think that drawing the profile view of this thing is pretty straightforward. If you have any questions, post on the Discord. Try the rest of these questions yourself. They are tricky. There are multiple correct answers, but do your best. Just try to visualize it as best you can. Focus on, where do I see a change of plane? What's right up against the wall? That's all for this one. Thanks. Talk to you soon.